Traders, welcome to some Brain FX. So in today's video, we are going to be doing a recap of the trade we took on Volatility 25 1x index using our trading strategy. Okay, so without further ado, let us dive in. All right, so now looking at the chart before us, we are going to see some of the trade we took. Starting here, this was the previous week. So there was a sale here, there was another sale here, and then this was the last one we took. So I'll be using our trading view platform, not Deriv on the normal trading, the trading view, the one we use for currency pairs, where we can do our back testing. So I'm going to be using that one for our analysis. So I'll be heading on to our main trading view where we can do our back testing. Okay, so there we can do replay. So we are going to see clearly how we took those trades looking using our trading strategy. So here we are on our trading view. We are going to be using our back testing tools, our replay tools. So I'm going to be taking all these out. So from here, let's get our tools. I'm going to be taking out all of these. Okay, I'm going to be taking out all of these. Alright, so now looking at our chart, so let's go to our 4 hours time frame. So from the 4 hours time frame, we see that price has been on a downtrend. Price has been on a downtrend, so there's been, meaning it's making a series of lower high, lower low, lower highs. There was a break of structure here to the downside caused by this high. We have a zone here, of course, that was not mitigated yet, so we have this zone up here. So now when we got here, there was a break of structure to the downside caused by this particular zone, and then of course there was this retracement to this zone that caused the break of structure, and then there was another break of structure to the downside caused by this particular zone. Okay, so now this zone caused the momentum that broke structure to the downside. So now we can mark out this zone here in our 4 hours time frame. So here we have our order block. This is the order block that's caused this break of structure to the downside. So this particular order block. So here we are on the 4 hours time frame. So let's go down to our 1 hour time frame to refine this zone further. So we can also look at the 2 hours time frame. So let's check the 2 hours time frame first. So 2 hours time frame, let's see if we can refine this zone further. Okay, just a little refinements here. So let's check the 1 hour time frame. So coming to our 1 hour time frame, there is nothing to refine, so we can just leave it like that. So we are looking at price getting into this zone and then coming down. So we are looking at for a sale here, looking at for entering a sale position here. So price tap into our zone. We are on the 1 hour time frame. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to be looking at for our confirmation entry. Okay, so here is our confirmation entry model where we are going to be looking at for a break of structure to the downside, a retracement to the zone that caused the break of structure, and then our entry. Of course, we could see that as a change of character because price has been on an uptrend. It's been going up here in the 1 hour time frame. So getting into this zone, we are looking at for price going down. So meaning it's going to be changing from this upward movement to the downward movement. So actually what we'll be looking at for is going to be our change of character. Of course, we can call it a break of structure, but we are looking at for the change of character. So price having a change of direction, okay, from this upward movement where it was to a downward movement. So we'll be looking at for a reversal. So that's why we'll be calling it a change of character. So this is our model. We are looking at for price getting into our zone. So once price gets into this zone, this is the reaction we'll be looking at for, where we'll have a change of character or a break of structure to the downside, something like this. That break of structure to the downside, and then the retracement to that zone that caused the break of structure, and then we want to see price going down. Okay, that's the reaction we want to see here at the zone. So we can take this out. We can take this out. So now price has mitigated our order block in the 1 hour time frame. So now let's go down to our 5 minutes time frame. Now when it comes to our confirmation entry, you can find that in the 15 minutes time frame, in the 10 minutes time frame, and also in the 5 minutes time frame. So it depending on what you see the market doing. Okay, so now let's go to our 5 minutes time frame. Okay, now coming down to our 5 minutes time frame. So we have seen that price has mitigated our zone. Okay. All right. So now if we are waiting for an entry in the 5 minutes time frame, so we can see something very significant here, that now at this particular zone there's already been a break of structure here. When price got to our zone, there is a break of structure here to the downside. So now price got into our zone, it broke structure to the downside. So now this is the zone that caused this break of structure. Okay, so now if we wait for price to get into this zone to sell, now look at what happened. So if we're to sell from this particular zone, if we're to sell here, let me get our replay tool. So this happens, this can happen. All right, so now this is price getting into our zone, and then we saw there was this clean break of structure to the downside or change of character. Now this is the zone that caused the break of structure. So now if we were to enter, the trade from this zone, okay, now let me show us. This is our tool, and then we'll put our stop loss below this, and this is our entry. So if you were to enter from here, now let's play this. So you saw what happened. Now price got into the zone and started selling, but let's watch out. Look at what later happened. Okay, you saw that when price got here, it did as if it wanted to sell, and then it violated our zone. Okay, let's continue playing. There was violation here. Okay, so it violated this first entry, and then if you observe, okay, so there was a violation here, and then price keep going up. Let me play it again. Now having seen this, if you were to go back to our 1 hour time frame, we'll see that what actually happened here was liquidity sweep. There was a liquidity sweep, meaning price took out this previous high. This previous high was taken by this candle sweep. So there was no clear candle close above the structure. There was no clear candle close above the structure. Rather, we saw a wick, okay, meaning there was a liquidity sweep. So price took out this previous high with a wick, not a full body candle close above that previous structure. So that's what actually happened here. That's why this first zone was violated. Okay, so now let's come back to our 5 minutes time frame. So we can take this. Now this happens a lot. Now if you had entered this trade here, and then of course that's why we put our stop loss. So you would have been stop out here, and then of course it's going to be with a little loss, not much loss, because we put our stop loss. So that's very important. So now using stop loss when you're trading, it's a good way to protect your capital. Of course, we know that at the end of the day, the profit is going to be, of course, much more than the loss. So this was violated here, and then in the 1 hour time frame, we saw that there was a liquidity sweep here. So now let's wait and see what later happened. So if I play this again, okay. Now that liquidity sweep here is clearer here. If I go back to our, so you see the sweep of liquidity here in the 1 hour time frame. So that is what happened here. Okay, so how did we now get our entry? So let's go back to our 5 minutes time frame. So after the liquidity sweep, we waited for our confirmation entry. So let's keep playing. Now let's take this out. So now after that liquidity sweep, so now we were able to get an entry here. So we saw that there was a break of structure here to the downside. There was a break of structure here, okay, caused by this momentum caused the break of structure to the downside, okay. And let's take this out here. So okay, let's play. Okay, so this is where we have the clear break of structure to the downside. Yeah, this particular zone. Okay, so we have a clear break of structure to the downside. So price came in, it broke structure. So that was a full body candle close below this previous high. So now this is that zone that caused that break of structure, change of character. So this is the zone right here. And if we take this out, so it was this zone right here. So now we can put our entry here, and then of course our stop loss above, and then let's wait to see the reaction. So see that price came in, it tapped into that hour zone. Now this happened after the liquidity sweep in the 1 hour time frame. Okay, now it doesn't happen like this all the time. There are times that you won't see any liquidity sweep. It could be just an inducement, and then price tap into our zone and start selling, just give us confirmation and start selling. But this one, it was not like that. So we had to wait for this liquidity sweep. So we saw this liquidity sweep. The moment we saw this liquidity sweep, being that price did not close above this previous high, so that's how that's why we're able to wait for the confirmation entry before we took our entry. Okay, so now let's go back to our 5 minutes time frame. So we saw that price came in, it tapped into our zone, and then it started selling. So let's keep playing. All right, so now let's go to our 1 hour time frame. So where would have been our exit, where we have targeted for our exit? So let's draw this down. Okay, our exit points would have been, this would have been our first TP. Our first TP would have been here, would have gotten out of the trade here for our first TP, is first take profit. Let me use these tools instead. So this was the first take profits. I think it's the color. Let me use white. Okay, these are first take profits, and then this would have been our, where would have been our second take profits? It's somewhere around here, and then probably down here later on. So it would be the first, the second, and then the third take profits. Okay, so now price keeps selling, and then of course our first take profit was hit, and then let's keep playing. Second take profit was hit. Now after the second take profit was hit, we saw that there was a retracement. Okay, there was a retracement here, and one would have still entered this trade here, but I actually didn't do that. I waited for, I entered about 4 positions, so I got that. I took the first take profit, and then of course the second, and then the third. So I held the trade, so I did not wait for a re-entry. Of course there would have been an opportunity to re-enter here, but there was no confirmation. Okay, so let's just keep playing. Then we saw what happened. So price keeps selling, and then it got to our second TP and went on and on and on. So now let's come to our 4 hours time frame. There was another entry that I saw here. Okay, that one was just the recent one. So let's see, let me play that out. It was somewhere. Okay, So now, when we got to this particular place, so we saw that there was another break of structure clearly in the 4 hours time frame. So here we have this break of structure to the downside. Okay, so we saw this. You have this break of structure caused by this particular zone here, the 4 hours time frame. So there was this break of structure. So now we waited for price to mitigate that zone. So now this is the other block here in the 4 hours time frame. So we can refine this zone further. Let's go to our 2 hours time frame. Now coming down to our 2 hours time frame, there was nothing more to refine further. So coming down to our 1 hour time frame, we saw that there's still another zone here in the 1 hours time frame. Of course, two, not just one zone. There are two of them that price is yet to mitigate. Okay, so price did not get to this particular zone. Okay, of course it does that at times, but looking at our 4 hours time frame, we saw that our 2 hours time frame rather, the 4 hours and the 2 hours time frame, price actually mitigated this particular zone. So it mitigated that zone in the 4 hours time frame, and then also mitigated the zone in the 2 hours time frame. Okay, so we can look at for an entry here. Okay, in this kind of situation, I would want to look at for an entry in the 15-minute time frame or the 10 minutes time frame. But I prefer the kind of trade I take is I want to see price mitigate the zone in the 4 hours time frame, and then if I refine it to a 1 hour time frame, I'll wait for price to mitigate that same zone in the 4 hours time frame. Now such an entry will give you more edge than when it is just this one. Okay, though it works, but I prefer the other one. Okay, price mitigating our zone, our other block in the 4 hours time frame, and then in the 2 hours, in the 1 hour other block. So now, but for here, we saw there was a mitigation in the 4 hours, and then there was also another mitigation in the 2 hours. So let's look at for our confirmation entry. Okay, so let's come down to, it was actually in the 15-minute time frame that we were able to see this clearly. Okay, now this is it. Yeah, this is it. Okay, take this out. So we saw that price mitigated this zone, and then we saw there was a change of character or a break of structure to the downside caused by this particular other block right here. So here we saw this. Okay, so now there was this break of structure. So now this is the zone that caused that break of structure or change of character. So let's take our tools. So this is our entry, and then we'll put our stop loss, of course, above this. And then where would have been our target profits? Let's come to our 1 hour time frame. Okay, so this would have been our target here. This is where we would have been targeting. Okay, this is our target. So let's go back to our 15-minute time frame. So let's play. So we saw that price tap into our zone, he started selling. Okay, he did all of these. It was going down. This was a very, very, very hard one. Okay, now you saw what happened. So price broke structure, it mitigated our zone and started selling, and then there was also another retracement. Now the good thing is that our stop loss was above this particular zone. So you see, price came in and did all of this. That's why it's very, very important. Just place your trade, put your stop loss, and just let the market do its thing. Okay, if you were to be watching this trade, seeing the price, seeing the market doing all these things, some persons would have gotten out of the trade. Maybe you would have exited. Okay, so that's why it's always good when you place your trade, put your stop loss, just leave the market. Okay, all right, so let's keep playing. So we saw what happened, and then price was doing all of this, and then it went boom. It kept selling. Of course, it's got to our zone, so we're able to price got to our TP. Okay, so that was profit. Let's come back to our 4 hours time frame. So now this was a recent trade we took. Okay, this was a recent one. So let's allow it to play. Okay, now if we come down to our, now this is still our 4 hours time frame, of course. Now we saw price has been in downtrend, meaning the bias is actually bearish. So now there was also another break of structure here. We can see this particular break of structure, and then we can also see another zone here in the 4 hours time frame. Okay, so I mean this is a very significant zone. So let me take this out. Let me take this out. So this is also another significant zone. So let's refine. Let's go to our 2 hours time frame. We can refine this other block down to this. Okay, can refine this other block down to this one. Okay, let's come down to a 1 hour time frame. So we can refine this further down to this. So we're waiting for price to get into this zone. Okay, and then we look at for our confirmation. So let's play. Waited for price. So price got into that zone. Okay, let's pause. So price has mitigated that zone. So now the next thing we are going to be doing is that we are going to be looking at for our confirmation entry. All right, remember in our analysis, let's go back to our 4 hours time frame. So we see that there is this zone, this demand zone where price broke structure to the upside. So this is a significant zone where we are expecting price to react off of. Of course, price has reacted. You know, there was a reaction here in the 4 hours time frame, but if we refine this particular zone to the 1 hour time frame, or let's say 2 hours, we saw that we can refine this further down here. So price is yet to get to this zone. That's why we are still expecting a sell from here, of course, down. All right, so we still have this zone here down here that of course the demand zone. We're expecting price to come and maybe get to this zone, something like this. We're expecting price to get to this zone maybe in the future and then go up. So it can also, price can also get here and then choose to continue going down further. So that's just by the way. So now, so in the 1 hour time frame, so price mitigated our zone. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to be waiting for our confirmation entry. All right, so let's go to our 5 minutes time frame. So whenever you have your break of structure, your order block in the 4 hours time frame, and then you're able to refine it to the 1 hour time frame, and then you see price mitigating that same zone in the 1 hour time frame, so you're more likely to see your confirmation in the 5 minute time frame rather than in the 15-minute time frame. Okay, but at times you can see a confirmation in 15-minute time frame, in the 5-minute time frame, and then 10 minutes time frame. So now price has mitigated our zone in the 1 hour time frame. So now let's go to our 5-minute time frame, and then we saw this, but you have not gotten a break of structure yet. So let's keep playing. No break of structure, no break of structure, no break of structure. Okay, so now we got this break of structure to the downside. So we saw this high was created, and then there was this low. So this low was taken out by this high right here, this particular high here. So price got in here. Of course, there was this up, down. There was break of structure to the upside, and then we saw there was this another break of structure to the downside. So we have this change of character here. Okay, so this signify a possible trend reversal. Okay, from this uptrend to a downtrend, so from this upward movement to a downward movement. So we have this break of structure here. So the moment we saw this, okay, we can use a limit order, your sell limit order. Okay, so here it is, and then of course our stop loss above this high. Okay, just give it a little space, don't make it to be too tight. So our stop loss above this high, and then a stop loss above the high, and then this is it. So let's see what happens. Let's wait. So price mitigated that zone in the 5 minute time frame. So price got into our zone and then it started selling. You see? Okay, so now let's, where would have been our exit point? Let's go to our 1 hour time frame. So where would have been our exit point? So this is our exit. We are targeting this previous swing low. Okay, so this previous swing low is our target here, right here. Okay, but price might likely get to this particular zone. So this is our exit point actually. So but price might actually get to this particular zone, but we actually exited the trade here. Okay, so we saw this. Let's play. So price did all this, and then now let me go back. Let me show something very, very important. So okay, let's take this out. So we saw something very significant here. So now remember, this is a 1 hour time frame. We saw there would have been another entry opportunity. Okay, if now looking at what happened here, we saw this break of structure here, down here, another break of structure, and then we saw this on this zone here. Okay, you saw another zone here. So if you had missed this first entry, you would have still, got into the trade here. Okay, so let's play. So price retreats to that particular zone, but though we've got our first entry here, of course it's always good to follow the market and then get your entry as at when the price starts changing direction. Okay, it's very, very, very good, because there your risk is going to be very, very low. You have a tight stop loss, and then of course your take profit is going to be higher. So your risk to reward will be much more when you enter the trade from when it started changing direction. Okay, so we saw this. That's how we able to get these clean moves. So that's it. So this is where price is currently. So we are still anticipating it getting to this particular zone, and then of course react, maybe move up. So but most important thing is that we exited the trade here. So that's that, guys. So if you have any question, if there's anything you don't understand, you can always type your question at the comment section. So till see you in our next video. Bye for now.